For the off-road racing community, round 2 of the ABSA Off-Road Championship meant a shift from the Western Cape to the Eastern Cape. The opening round of the series was run in Darling in the Western Cape, with round 2 based at Jeffreys Bay, which boasts the best right-hand point brake in the world. Surfers will know what that means, with Jeffreys Bay a mecca for international surfers who flock year-round to one of South Africa's best-known communities. Situated little more than an hour's drive from Port Elizabeth on the N2 highway, Jeffreys Bay is a vibrant and cosmopolitan town with a thriving local craft industry.
Situated on the outskirts of Jeffreys Bay, the Mentor's Kraal Country Estate provided the ideal base for the Eastern Cape 400, with a route running through the Gamtoos Valley and the Longmoor forests. The resort was soon a hive of activity as teams set up shop, went through pre-race documentation and started preparing vehicles for the prologue that would determine start positions for the race.
Off-road racing prides itself on a family atmosphere, with racers also providing a backdrop for old friends to renew acquaintances. But behind the relaxed facade, there's always an air of tension as technical crews ready their chargers for battle.
After the Edenko 400, the Donaldson Nissan crew of Duncan Foss and Rolf Pitchford led the production vehicle championship. 2 other Donaldson Nissan crews occupied top 5 places, along with 2 Toyota crews, slotting in among the premier SP class teams with 2 crews from classes D and E.
Nissan factory driver Duncan Foss is the reigning South African champion, and a win on the Edenko 400 got his season off to a perfect start.
Went perfectly for us in Cape Town. Obviously, we're hoping to have a repeat of that this weekend. It's all gone well up until now. We've had a good test and the car's right, so hopefully we can do well.
And the forest sections, that's going to have a big influence.
Yeah, we're going to have to drive it differently from what we normally do in an off-road race. It's going to be a lot smoother, so we're going to have to treat it more like a rally section. It's going to be easier on the cars. But yeah, you just got to be really careful on the slippery sections, especially if they've had rain in the area, on the pine needles that can get slippery, and in the shadows where the sun doesn't get to the route. But, you know, you just drive the race accordingly, and our cars are good in those type of conditions, so we're looking forward to it.
A pre-prologue mishap provided the Castrol Toyota service crew with a little extra work, but factory driver Hein Latergan, a newcomer to the Toyota team, was still upbeat.
We've done a bit of testing with the cars and a lot more confident now. We know how much we can do with how we can attack the rough stuff, and that for me is what I must learn, you know, so I'm quite confident and I'm looking forward to it.
But the big difference going from rallies into one of these cars.
You ask me now, you know, you go around the corner, they flip over, you know, rally cars don't do that.
There was also a new face in the factory Ford racing team, with Thomas Rundle moving in among the SP class big boys after years of campaigning in Class E.
To be honest, it's a dream come true. It's what I've wanted since the beginning, since I started racing in 2002. And yeah, it's unbelievable. Being part of such a brilliant team. Guys are, you know, a great bunch of guys. You know, it's unbelievable. You know, you can't compare it to a Class E car. It's completely different for me. You know, the other guys in the team are used to the old petrol SPs, but yeah, it's just SP is new for me.
A steep learning curve also awaited special vehicle category defector Gary Bertholdt.
Well, I think a lot of the competitiveness is in SP. There's still a tremendous amount in the special vehicles. But I think you need to try a change every now and then. And in order to give Atlas Copco a little bit more exposure and try something different, we thought we'd go the SP route. It's an extremely steep learning curve. Newfound respect for all the SP drivers. I think they're very good, very fit. It's very demanding on the body. So I'm just going to take it easy and take the steep learning curve one step at a time.
Before the start of the prologue to determine start positions for the race, the top 5 drivers on the production vehicle seeding list draw for start positions. It's a little ceremony always conducted against a background of some good-natured barracking.
For the quicker teams, the pre-race prologue to determine start positions for the race proper takes on an important role. Starting off in pole position and being first on the road has one huge advantage: no dust. Off-road races are notoriously dusty affairs, and the prospect of setting out with a clear road in front turns prologues into cutthroat affairs, with Duncan Foss and Rolf Pitchford blitzing the other teams on the 60-kilometer route.
Hugo and Jaap de Bruin are one of many father and son combinations to be found in off-road racing. And after an unhappy outing at the Adenco 400, they bounced back to set the second fastest time, with the pair 28 seconds behind Foss and Pitchford. After tipping the Castrol Toyota Hilux on its side during a pre-prologue test run, Hein Lateghan and Chris Birkin hit back in emphatic fashion to set the third fastest time and trail Foss and Pitchford by 40 seconds.
The wily old veteran Hannes Grobler and Johan Moore set the fourth fastest time in another of the Donaldson Nissan Navara factory entries. In a stellar career spanning more than 30 years, the hugely popular Grobler has won championships on the track and in rallying and off-road. Moore is one of the new breed of young co-drivers in off-road and has struck up a solid relationship with Grobler in the car. To be successful, explicit trust and teamwork is needed between driver and co-driver in what are small, noisy and very uncomfortable mobile offices. The top 5 in the prologue were rounded out by Chris Visser and Japie Badenhorst in the RFS Toyota Hilux. Visser and Badenhorst are reliable performers who got their season off to a good start with a podium finish in the Adenco 400. Here they were 1 minute and 26 seconds adrift of Duncan Voss and Rolf Pitchford. SP class newcomers Gary Berthold and Andre Vermeulen came up with an impressive start in the Atlas Copco Toyota Hilux and were closely followed by Dakar Rally heroes Ivar Tollefsen and Quinn Evans in the third Donaldson Nissan Navara. Next up were the husband and wife pairing of George and Sharon Barkhuizen in the AIM Toyota Hilux. Barkhuizen is a former motocross and kart champion, which is fine for an off-roader, but also listed among his achievements is playing underwater hockey for the Orange Free State. Young Chris de Plooy and Henk van Vieren put together a solid prologue in the RFS Toyota Hilux, and Thomas Rundle with the experienced Henny ter Steege alongside him quickly settled into life in an SP class vehicle.
In his first Class SP drive, Rundle and ter Steege were quicker than former champions Neil Woolridge and Kenny Scholthammer, who were giving the new factory twin-turbo diesel Ford Ranger its first outing. In their defense, the experienced Woolridge and Scholthammer lost time changing a flat wheel on what was a tight and rough route that often required extreme caution.
There were some disinterested and some interested spectators along the route, with the Transcore Ford Ranger pair of Graham Leith and Mike Lawrenson hampered by an engine misfire. Behind them and running at the back of the field after a steering problem saw them miss their start time, Anthony Taylor and Robin Houghton posted a time that would have placed them 7th on the grid. For missing their start time, the unfortunate Castrol Toyota Works crew was hit with a 15-minute penalty, and that dropped them right to the back of the field.
While service crews restored vehicles to full health for the next day's battle, and with first on the road in the bag, Duncan Voss had every reason to be pleased with his afternoon's work.
This is the first time we've been to Jeffreys Bay, and so far it's been really good to us. And you know, everyone had a chance to test on the test section, which was great. It gives everyone an equal opportunity. But yeah, you know, it's really nice. The route is different from what we experienced in the Cape, but our car seems to be as equally as good in whatever conditions we race in. So we're looking forward to tomorrow.
Hein Lateghan has joined the Castrol Toyota team from the rally ranks and is finding the switch physically challenging.
You really get tired with the steering, and so we've done 50 Ks. It's just only over 10%, you know. So tomorrow's going to be a tough day, you know. So I'll just have a good pace. I mean, we didn't push too hard on the prologue. I mean, I all the time tried to keep it on the wheels after the roll this morning, you know. So I think we will have a nice pace.
The factory Ford Ranger team is entering uncharted waters, but former champion Neil Woolridge foresees other teams going the diesel route.
I must say, if anyone had told me changing over to diesel would be so different, I might not have done it, to be quite honest. It's been a huge learning curve for us, but we're very happy with the car. It's a brand new 5-cylinder 3.2 turbo diesel running 2 twin turbos, and Ford Motor Company is the first to go that route. We've seen motor manufacturers overseas in the Dakar and all the rally raid events over there also go the diesel route with great success. So we're the first ones to step into that line, you know. It's a whole new learning curve for us, and I've no doubt we're still going to be learning all year, but we felt it important to take that step. Ford Motor Company have strong feelings about the diesel route, and we definitely think that that's the way of the future.
The fastest time in Class E went to Loder Brain and Rian Geiling in the Rubicon Ford Ranger, previously campaigned by factory driver Jack Peckham. The Bloemfontein-based pair were just 7 seconds ahead of Adenko 400 winners Dion Venter and Ian Palmer in the 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux. Hot on their heels were Papi Rubeluza and Kulele Vakaliza in the factory Ford Ranger, with less than a minute covering the 3 cars.
The veteran Raconics Nissan hardbody pair of Kutsia Labuskaghni and Johan Gerber set the pace in Class D. Labuskaghni and Gerber were nearly a minute quicker than Dewald van Breda and Johan de Toy in the Northam Toyota Hilux 4D4, with the Denko 400 winners Cliff and Louis Weigelt a further 3 minutes in arrears after a boost pipe broke on the N1 4x4 Toyota Hilux D4D. Class D pace-setter Labuskaghni was gearing up for a tough race.
Well, you know, from the times there when the guys put the helmets on, the red mist, like the guy says, take over, but you got to have controlled aggression with it, you know. Basically, we haven't got the suspensions which the SPs and the Class A cars got, so you got to preserve the car there. You got to take it a little bit slow, and you got to be careful with it.
The special vehicle category has lost a couple of high-profile crews to the production vehicle ranks, with drivers like Gary Berthold and former SA champion Terence Marsh among the defectors. But such is the depth of talent in South African off-road racing that a half a dozen or more crews are capable of winning races, and new talent is filtering into off-road racing via other branches of motor racing.
After winning the Adenko 400 first time out in a brand new car, former champions Evan Hutchinson and Achim Bergman led the overall and Class A championships going into the Eastern Cape 400. Class P leaders Johan and Etienne Besadenhout were in the top 5, with 4 Class B crews in the top 10.
A win first time out in the Motorrad Revo 1 4x4 car gave Evan Hutchison and Achim Bergman a dream start to the season.
We were, I'd like to say, lucky at the last event. You know, it was a new car and we did have a few little problems, and with the misfortune of some of the other competitors while we got to the end. But yeah, congratulations to the team on making sure we were there to take the win. So we're very happy about that. Second time out in the car, it's almost the same plan. You know, we're here to finish. That's all we're really worried about, is get the car to the end and make sure that the small changes we've made have been good for us.
Back in the harness after missing the first event of the year were former Class B champions Jan and Hendrik Kraai, with the pair now campaigning in Class P.
Yeah, I know, we've just put a new motor into our car, so we've moved up a class to the P class. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. Lots of hard work.
And a very competitive class that you're going into now.
Yeah, I know it is. All of the guys that were in Class B have all moved up to Class P now, so it's going to be exciting. It's going to be nice.
Derek de Toy and Ian Pienaar are a Cape Town-based team and had Class B podium finishes in their sights.
Basically, we want to continue and run for podium all the time. We had a bit of problems in Darling and we came third there, but we believe that we're in a chance. We've got a solid car. We just redid the engine now, and I think everything bodes well for the future. I mean, we really want to try and see if we can't be on the podium for the championship.
The top 5-seeded drivers in the special vehicle category also draw lots for start positions for the prologue. And as with the production car brigade, the name of the prologue game is to finish as high up as is possible.
Colin Matthews and Alan Smith are chargers, but the Century Racing crew out in a bat are still looking for their first national championship win. There's no doubting their pace, but Matthews and Smith tend to blow hot and cold, and off-road fundies will tell you that consistency is a sought-after ingredient when it comes to winning championships. As always, they attack the prologue aggressively, but were 13 seconds slower than overall leaders Duncan Foss and Ralph Pitchford, and were only 3 seconds quicker than Evan Hutchison and Achim Bergman in the highly impressive 4x4 Motorrad Revo 1.
Super stuff from an onboard camera.
2 production vehicle cars were sandwiched between Hutchison and Bergman and Colin Quinton Sulwalt in the Sulwalt Racing bat. A puncture 10 kilometres from the finish robbed them of a win on the opening event, but they were again right on the pace, with Will Battersfield and Reg Sutton springing a slight surprise by setting the 4th fastest time. Former champion Shamir Varayawa and Siegfried Rousseau were also up with the leaders in the total porter and rounded out the top 5.
KwaZulu-Natal crew Clint Gibson and Gary Campbell were going well in the Gibson Racing Bat, although the pair were just 7 seconds up on veterans Nardis Albers and Jeff Minute in the Rapsa Bat. They were going along steadily, but Alberts and Minute were coming under pressure from Lesotho crew John Moore and Leander Pienaar, who were out in the Groove Bar Chev. For their part, the Lesotho team were under some pressure from Mike Whitehouse and brother-in-law Matthew Carlson in the Regent Racing Bat. There was only a half a minute between 4 cars in what had developed into an interesting little cameo performance.
The first 5 cars in the prologue were separated by just over a minute, with the route and the roadbook coming in for high praise from Colin Matthews and Alan Smith.
The route was lovely. It was very nice and tight. It was just a lot of everything. We had smooth sand roads, we had tight stuff, we had some hair-raising stuff. It was lovely. It was really, really a nice route.
And the navigation, Alan, was tell us about the new format on the roadbook.
The format, I'd say, was a lot better than the last time. Tight, lots of instructions, but very well marked and very well set out. Very happy.
There was a close battle in Class P with KwaZulu-Natal pair Don Thompson and Don Blakely in a Zarko Light, locked in battle with former Class B champions Jan and Hendrik Kraai in the Keymax Bat. The scales finally tipped the way of the KwaZulu-Natal pair, but there was only 4 seconds in it.
Third place in Class P went to brothers David and Gary White in the Rurikon Racing Bat, with the pair only 2 seconds ahead of Class B frontrunners Bez and Dion Besaidnout in the Adenko Bat. The Besaidnouts, with Dad doing the driving and son Dion the navigating, won the Adenko 400 and were in search of a repeat result.
Vehicle and asset finance from ABSA.